So if we've got these 2 points and we want to fit it with a form y equals ab to the x, we're going to take the x, which is 2, and the y, which is 10, and we're going to write this down. Let's see, x is 2 and it's b to the x, and you got an a here, and you got y is 10. You don't know what a and b are, but we're going to be able to find it really easily. Okay? And then same for 7 and 3, right? Which one's x and which one's y? I always get them backwards, so somebody better tell me. Okay, I'm going to start with y. Which one is it? 3, right? Did I get it right? If so, I'm quite proud of that. Okay, makes sense? Okay, well, how do you solve this system? Now let me write it up here so I can solve it down below. And I'm going to put the a, b squared here and the 10 here, just reversing sides. Okay? There are 2 possible strategies you can use. Like you could solve this one for a, you'd get a equals 10 over b squared, right? And then you can replace this a with 10 over b squared, and you have an equation that you can solve for b. That's called eliminating a. You don't eliminate a by erasing it or just not writing it down. You eliminate it by mathematical operations, right? Eliminating it by just disregarding it, pretending it never existed, isn't going to get you anywhere. Okay? That's one way to do it. I'm going to show you another way that's actually even a little slicker, and then I'll do it that way, okay? And you'll see that it comes out the same. Okay, so basically I'm going to divide the second equation by the first equation. It means I'm going to divide the left-hand sides, the left-hand side of the second by the left-hand side of the first, and the right-hand side of the second by the right-hand side of the first. That's going to give me something that should be pretty obvious, ab to the 7th over ab squared. That's the left-hand sides, right? And that equals, second equation, first, 3 over 10. Any problem with that? It's legal, because if this is equal to this, and this is equal to this, then this divided by this has to equal this divided by this. Okay? You might want to convince yourself of that, but that's the way it is. Okay, so when I divide this, what do I get? ab to the 7th divided by ab squared is what?
ab to the 5th.
A is divided by
A to the negative 5th?
If you divide a by a, you get 1, right? But you do get b to the 5th. So you kept the a in there. Well, I can write this, just to be sure we have it right, as a over a times b to the 7th over b squared, because we're just breaking this down into 2 things that you can multiply to get the fraction, right? That make sense? And of course, this is 3/10 over here. We're not going to change that. Okay? But a over a is just 1. And b to the 7th over b to the 2nd is b to the 5th by the laws of exponents that you should know really well, because I've been nagging you about it for over 2 months. Okay? So, what we end up with is just b to the 5th equals 3/10. Do we solve that for b? Well, judging from what we saw on the test, from people that took the test, pretty much, yeah, but maybe not always. Okay? More would get that than wouldn't. Okay? B to the 5th equals 3/10. How do we solve it? What do we do to both sides? Some of you know, but nobody wants to say, so I'm going to tell you. Raise both sides to the 1/5 power. b to the 5th to the 1/5 is b to the 5 times 1/5, and this is 3/10 to the 1/5. You can't compute that. You can punch that into your calculator very easily. 5 times 1/5 is 1, so that's b to the 1 equals 3/10 to the 1/5, so that b equals 3/10 to the 1/5. I really shouldn't have to be explaining every step of this, but I know that I kind of need to. It takes time, but the preparation people bring to the class is what we bring, okay? So I got to make that much of a concession. Okay, so, you know, you can do that. You got B now, right? How do you get A? Yeah, take either of these equations and plug in B and you can get A, right? So, uh-oh, I'm doing it the other way today. Sorry, I didn't remember how I done this. So, now I can say we got AB squared equals 10. I'll just pick that one. B equals 3/10 to the 1/5. So A times 3/10 to the 1/5 squared equals 10, right? Well, let's simplify that before we try to do anything with it. What's 3/10 to the 1/5 squared? I'm sorry, Kaylee. I got to give you a megaphone. Again? Yeah, we're raising a power to a power. You multiply the exponents. It's one of the laws of exponents that you're supposed to know from Algebra 1, right? Even pre-algebra. And you need to know now, as I told you 10 weeks ago. Okay? Well, 1/5 times 2 is 2/5, so it's A times 3/10 to the 2/5 equals 10. Okay? So what does A equal? What are we going to do to both sides to solve for A?
Divide by 3/10 by 3/10.
Yeah, divide by this, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay? It's 10 over 3/10 to the 2/5. Okay? And that's something else you can punch into your calculator. Okay? Now, I can estimate what this is, sort of. 3/10 to 1/5 is 0.3. Means I got to find something that the fifth power of is 3. Well, let's see, 0.9 squared is 0.81. 0.81 squared is a little more than 0.64. And if I square 0.64, I get something around 0.4. So it's pretty close to 9. If I do 0.8, I get 0.64 and then 0.512 and 0.4. I'm going to guess maybe that's 0.83. Okay, if you got a calculator, punch it in. 3/10 raised to the 1/5. I'm guessing around 0.83. So 3/10 to the 2/5 would be something like 0.689. I don't know. And if so, then that's going to be equal to something around 15, maybe a little less, 13 or 14. Okay? Now, I've been doing arithmetic for a long time, so I'm getting really bad at it. So you can check me. Because, of course, the more arithmetic you do, the worse you get. I think that's what, maybe it's just the older you get, the worse you get at arithmetic. But I'm not very old, so. Okay. Yeah, I'm well past the stage of being able to do really good mental arithmetic, but those estimates are ballpark, and I think you maybe get something like this. So, y equals ab to the x, with a equal to 15, b equal to 0.83, we get y equals 15. Again, I think 15 is a little high, and I don't know about the 0.83. I don't think it's too far off, but who knows what might have gone haywire, am I thinking? Okay? So if we go back to the original picture, for a moment, we see that we kind of expect this function to be something like y equals 15 times 0.83 to the x. And for 2, that really works out pretty close. If I plug in 2 for x, I get something pretty close to 10. Not real close, not within tenths or anything like that, but ballpark. Probably rounds off to 10, but don't hold me to that. 7th power 0.83 is a little harder to calculate. You're going to get like a 0.57, 0.2 something, 2 point something, 0.2 something, and 0.2 times 5 is 3. So I kind of think my ballpark guesses might be kind of okay, but you understand why we go ahead and use calculators, because I don't even have a way to calculate any of these things exactly. Not quickly, anyhow. I mean, do a whole lot of arithmetic. And for fractional powers, there's no way to calculate it. Okay? Calculate as many decimal places as you want if you got enough time, but you can't calculate it accurately. Okay. So this is, my point is, this is an appropriate use of a calculator when you get it down to here, but not at any earlier stage. Okay? And I prefer you keep it 3/10, but if you made that into a 0.3, since you're not really doing any arithmetic with it, except through the calculator, yeah, I wouldn't gripe about it too much. Fair enough? Okay, well now, what if this is a power function? Okay? Now, if this is a power function, then it has the form y equals ax to the p. And you don't know a and you don't know p. So you have two unknowns, right? So we can write down the simultaneous equations for this. So go ahead and do that. Write down the simultaneous equations if you use this form instead of this one.